24/7, 365. The fantasy season never dies. Welcome to Every Day is Draft Day. Presented by Champions Round.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the latest edition of Hot Takes and Pancakes. I am your host, Dan Turner. Joining me today, two of the three J's, Jeff and Jason. What's up, guys?
What's going on, Dan?
Hey there.
Happy to be here.
So, draft cutdowns happened. Everyone pretty much has your 53-man rosters set. A couple moves here and there, but for the majority of the teams, all the major moves have been done with. So it'll be fun to see how the teams go going into the season. So for the first hot take of the day, we'll start with Jason.
Oh, actually, I wanted to go. Let's go to Jeff.
All right, Jeff
I want to
first.
play off someone right now.
All right, Jeff.
I'm going. All right. So a lot of people want to talk about Damien Pierce because there's all this news, of course, about Marlon Mack being released, and Damien Pierce is the top back now in Houston. I am going to say right now, put it on record, that he finishes as the top rookie running back, besting Breece Hall, James Cook, Rachaad White, Ken Walker, Brian Robinson, you name it. He's the top rookie running back this year.
You know how to play to the crowd. You know how to play to the crowd, Jeff.
So he's going to outscore someone that just got shot in the leg? Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment.
Hey, now, keep in mind, they're saying that he might be back like late September, even early October, believe it or not.
That's crazy to me. I don't have any problem with that. Actually, on the AFC East Gambling with Gold yesterday, episode 98, if you want to check that out on Spotify, nice little plug there. I bet Breece Hall under 800.5 rushing yards this season. I'm very low on Breece Hall. I think that the second half of the season will be more productive than the first half of the season. So I think that Pierce Dan's been on it since, March, February?
February 22nd.
Yeah. February 22nd.
Was the first time I ever tweeted about Damien Pierce.
Kept some receipts on that one.
I did.
So, Dan's been all over it. I know that Steph joined him after they went down to Alabama. So I have no problem with it. He's going to have the most opportunity out of any of the running backs that are rookies. So no reason not to fade him right now.
And he looks good too. I mean, it's not just open holes. He's making holes. He is, making cutbacks and such and gaining extra yards. And, it's sort of a small sample size so far, but I've liked what I've seen. And if he's going to get the opportunity and the volume, then all he needs roughly is like between 200 and 220 carries, maybe 7 touchdowns or so around there, 1,000 yards. I don't really think there's going to be that much of a huge type of outlook here for rookie running backs this year, but I do think that Pierce is going to be leading the way.
Who would you have second behind him? Who do you think is going to be chasing him down?
Honestly, I think it kind of depends on what James Cook does in Buffalo, because I think he could be someone. A dark horse that I have would be Zamir White out of Las Vegas, especially if he is the hot hand and he shows that Josh Jacobs isn't quite the youngster that he is and can do everything. So I like Zamir White, but I would say if I had to guess right now, James Cook, just because I think Buffalo is going to unleash him.
I don't hate that either. My concern with Cook is just that he's in a 3-man backfield right now, and I don't know when he's going to become the number 2. I doubt he's going to become the number 1. It's not really his style of back. But if you told me that James Cook was going to catch 60 passes this year, it would not shock me at all. I think he has that sort of upside.
Yeah, and if he does that, he's top 20 for sure. So in PPR at least. But I still got Pierce leading the way.
I like it.
Love it. Pierce is going to be a running back 1 this year.
All right. So one, RB1, love that call. Secondly, if I'm going next, I have a little game to play with you guys.
Okay. I love games.
I want to play hot take roulette. So I want the two of you to pick a team, and I'll come up with a hot take on the spot.
Ooh, all right.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
So we each pick one team?
Yeah, so Dan, why don't you give me a team first?
The Dallas Cowboys.
It's a layup.
The bet is easy, like under 10.5 wins, and then to finish second in the division. Eagles to finish first, Dallas to finish second, exacta is like plus 300 at DraftKings. I love that specifically. Hot take, though. I mean, we've done the Tony Pollard Zeke thing. We've done the Jalen Tolbert thing.
All right, so let me not do Dallas. We've been talking about the NFCs. Let's do the Houston Texans.
Okay, I actually like that one. The guy that they just signed today will be a top 50 fantasy wide receiver, Tyler Johnson.
I love the Tyler Johnson love.
That's interesting. But you got Brandon Cooks, right? And you also have Nico Collins there.
Brandon Cooks will be traded this season before the trade deadline. There is no reason.
That's a hotter take right there.
Good Lord.
Okay, well, I just stumbled into it. I actually do believe that one a lot because there's no reason for the Houston Texans to have Brandon Cooks on the roster once you get further into the season. The reason that they want him there is so that they can see what they have out of Davis Mills, but there's a point where there's basically no return, and Cooks, he's not old yet. He seemingly is always still just 26 years old, despite having played 11 years in the NFL or whatever it is at this point. But, if they can get a second-round pick for him or a third-round pick for him when we get into the season, if some wide receiver goes down, I don't see why they wouldn't capitalize on that opportunity, especially now that they have Mechie coming back next year that'll probably fill into the Brandon Cooks role. Now you have two legitimate wide receivers on the outside with Tyler Johnson and Nico Collins. I think that those two combined, you can probably still figure out what you have in Davis Mills. So, I think that Brandon Cooks will probably get dealt before. I think the trade deadline is now like week 7, something like that. So I think that's probably when Cooks will get dealt.
Interesting. All right, here's a team for you, Jason. Take a sip, relax, take a breath.
I wish
Seattle
it was a beer.
Seahawks.
It's just LaCroix.
Seattle Seahawks. There we go.
The Seattle Seahawks. Oh, actually, I've already made this point, but the Seattle Seahawks, this is the last year that Pete Carroll will be the head coach, and the last year that GM John Snyder will be there. I think they end up with the worst record in the NFL this season. I don't know how hot that is, but I would bet I think they're like third on the list right now, behind the Texans and the Bears. So I would have them with the worst record in the NFL. Tough division, no quarterback to speak of. But you can't give me Drew Lock or Geno Smith. That's definitely the worst quarterback situation in the NFL. Completely rebuilding the roster, defense complete overhaul, offensive line, despite the fact that Charles Cross has looked okay, is trash. They already have issues at running back with their health. Is DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett really going to give a shit when we get into the season? They start 0-7? I don't think so. So, worst record in the NFL, Seattle Seahawks.
There you go.
That's awesome. So a little bit of breaking news, just something for me as an Eagles fan. Jalen Reagor got traded just now to the Minnesota Vikings for a 2023 7th and a 2024 4th-round pick.
Wow.
So the Vikings are going to have Justin Jefferson and Reagor?
Jalen Reagor.
I love the pettiness. They sent J.J. Arcega-Whiteside to go play with DK Metcalf and Jalen Reagor to go play with Justin Jefferson.
It's only his draft nemesis.
Right.
So Dan, why don't you take like 2 minutes and break down the trade from both sides so that we can post this later?
All right. So for the Vikings side, it's more receiver depth. I mean, they obviously have a great tree of receivers with Thielen, Jefferson, and Osborne. But behind that, it's really not that deep. I think they only kept 5 raw receivers on their final roster for their 53. So to get him for basically a 7th and then a 4th in 2 years is a cheap way to see if he still has anything going for him. He's only 23 years old. He is a former first-round pick. He really just needed to change the scenery. He was never going to do it in Philly. So I think that with the new offense that Minnesota is operating in, I think that's a really good fit for him. And for the Eagles, it's just really getting anything for him was a win. I think getting a 7th and a 4th was a little bit more than even I expected to get from him. I expected just a conditional 7th, to be honest. And getting, his guaranteed salary off the books, well, not major. It's still a little bit more help coming up for next year when we're going to need to re-sign a couple of players. So I think it's really a win-win for both. I think Reagor needed the change of scenery, and the Eagles wanted the cap space and the roster spot, which they can now use for, someone that might want to sign in free agency.
Howie doesn't stop dealing. I guess my question is, who do you think ends up as the third receiver on the Vikings at this point? Do you think it's Osborne, who still has the number 3 role, or do you think that Reagor's going to bump him out at some point?
No, I think it's still Osborne. I think Osborne has gotten such glowing reviews in camp from all the coaching staff and all the sources that I've seen. He's, I think that, with Adam Thielen coming to the end of his career. I think Osborne eventually, gets elevated to that number 2 role. Maybe not this year, but probably in the near future. And, maybe Rager doesn't really warrant anything with the Vikings, but if he turns into maybe even a solid number 3 for them for the future, then that would be a win for them. But I think for this year, at least, it's still going to be Jefferson, Thielen, and Osborne with Rager coming in as the number 4 while he learns the offense.
Got it.
How many times have we seen like a bust receiver, like a first round, maybe even second round, just not work out with his first team, gets traded to a different team and does work out? We just don't see that too often. If I'm Minnesota fans, I'd be kind of a little bit upset about this, giving up a 4th round pick. The 7th is like whatever, but a 4th, I mean, that's got some value there. I don't know if that's worth a 4th round pick. I mean, what receivers have done anything that were busts in their first go round? Anyone? Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't really think of one.
Yeah, it took Cordell Patterson like 8 years to figure it out. Yeah. So no,
yeah, but at least he's a special teams player, and he was on teams and was participating and doing something. But
I mean, Rager isn't quite as bad as guys like Corey Coleman you're thinking of, right? Like, it's not quite that bad. He did put up some stats.
N'Keal Harry.
Right? But like
John Ross.
I would say Rager's better than all of those guys, and I hate Rager, but he's produced more. He's produced more than all of those guys.
Well, maybe Kevin O'Connell has something that he sees in him for some reason, but I don't know. I would be a little bit unhappy with this decision if I were a Minnesota fan.
I mean, Rager's whole thing, the biggest issue, 1, he's in Philly with the most ruthless fans ever. 2, when the 2020 draft happens and the Vikings are laughing that the Eagles passed on Justin Jefferson, like that video didn't do him any help. And then the third is like you get drafted 1 pick before, probably the best or second best wide receiver in the NFL. It's so hard, but I wouldn't say that Rager is as big a bust as some of the other guys that we're talking about here. Like, I still think that he could have a legitimate future, but I do think he's probably the wide receiver for Minnesota.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I still like Osborne.
Yeah. So a little update. It's a conditional 4th. It turns into a 5th if certain statistical benchmarks aren't met. So it's probably a 5th and a 7th instead of a 4th and a 7th. Which is still
I like Dan's like, he's definitely not going to do anything there. Fuck him.
He's not. No, he's not. He sucks. What's the worst part about it is that the coaching staff is the people that wanted Rager. The scouting staff of the Eagles actually preferred Jefferson over Rager, but because Roseman wanted Doug Peterson to be happy, he chose Rager over Jefferson. That's the rumor mill in Philly. So the scouting department is probably throwing their hands up right now, like, why didn't you just listen to us and pick Jefferson? But yeah, so it's my turn, right, for a hot take now, right?
Yeah.
After my news,
go ahead. Okay. Unless that was your hot take.
No, what, the hot take that Jalen Rager won't matter at all? No, that's not.
Whatever.
That's a freezing cult.
No, but go ahead. No, that was breaking news. No, go ahead.
Breaking news. Okay, so for my hot take, I'm going to go a little outside the norm here with a team I don't really talk about. I'm going to go actually to the Houston Texans, and I think that the new starting tight end Pharaoh Brown will be a top 20 tight end this season.
Yeah, go Ducks!
Go Ducks!
Go Ducks!
I think that he won the job over Brevin Jordan, who Brevin Jordan was everyone's favorite going to the camp for a tight end. And I think for leagues where you wait on tight ends, I think that Pharaoh Brown could be a really good pickup, especially if Jason's prediction comes true when they trade Brandon Cooks. I think that the wide receiver depth, even with Tyler Johnson, isn't that deep. It's pretty much Cooks, Collins, and then Johnson at this point because Mechie isn't ready or won't be this year. So I think that no one really cares about Philip Dorsett. So I think that Pharaoh Brown will be top 20 tight end this year.
Ooh, wow, that is hot. That's super hot, especially with we've talked about the Texans twice now, not 3 times now with our takes. So, shoot, I don't know. I honestly don't know too much about Pharaoh Brown other than he was just kind of like the guy behind the scenes, never really had a chance to develop. But it seems like now he's kind of making a name for himself and is starting to become perhaps that guy that they lean on at that position. So that also says something about Brevin Jordan too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Top 20. I mean, that would be a out of nowhere hidden gem. But not sure if I'm ready to go with that. But I like the vigor there, Dan. I do. I like the mustard on that hot dog there. Buddy.
There it is.
Kyle's waiting for it. So a little background on Pharaoh Brown. So he was probably Marcus Mariota's favorite target during his Heisman season. He got injured in a game at Utah. He had to stay in Salt Lake for a couple weeks, like a horrible leg injury. Missed the national championship game, missed like the entire playoffs. Missed, I think, a year and a half of football after that, maybe 2. Came back, played like a 6-year season at Oregon, didn't do much. I think he was undrafted. But it's taken him like 4 years to get over this leg injury, and then he started making progress. He made it onto the Texans. So maybe at this point, he was projected to be like a second-round pick at one point during that senior or his last year with Mariota. So I'm not surprised to see him succeed, but he definitely has a history of injuries, no doubt about that.
There you go. All right, my turn.
Jeff, back to you. Yes, for your number 2 hot take.
This is something that we've talked about a little bit here on the show. We've talked about Brady. We've talked about the Buccaneers and how Brady is going to be disappointing this year. I'm going to lean and say that I'm not ready to say that the Buccaneers aren't going to win their division, but I don't think they're going to win any more than 10 games. I think they finish with less than 11 wins. And I'm looking at their schedule. They are favored in every game except for one at San Francisco, where it's a pick 'em. But they've got 7 games where they're favored by 3 points or less. So there's going to be some close games there. Plus, they start off with a tough battle. I mean, if you're looking at their schedule, at Dallas, at New Orleans, then they play the Packers, then the Chiefs. It's not until week 5 where they have their first game that's over a 3-point spread. And that's against the Falcons. So Buccaneers, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling a little bit of uncertainty there. And I'm thinking that they're not going to be as good as people think.
I've been on this bandwagon since the start. I love that. I love the mustard on that hot
dog. Yeah, I agree. I think that actually Carolina wins the division.
I
think Baker takes them.
There's a hot take.
And they win the entire division outright.
Whoa.
That's what I think happens.
All right, what's the scenario here, Dan?
So you just turned into Joey for a second and just went nuclear.
Wow. I mean, as a Panthers fan, I think that's wonderful. That's great. I'd love to hear your in-depth understanding of – and you said Baker. So Baker is pretty much the X factor there? Is that what you're saying?
I think that Baker, I think sometimes got – bad rapping on Cleveland, but people seem to forget he did take Cleveland to the playoffs for the first time in like 100 years. So it's not like he can't play quarterback. And I think the fact that he's so much of an upgrade over Sam Darnold is gonna take him there. And the people forget that the Panthers really do have a really good offensive team around Baker. They have DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall, and they just signed Laviska Shenault, which apparently is the best move in the history of fantasy football, which I just don't understand. But whatever. They have Christian McCaffrey, who hopefully stays healthy this year. They have some depth behind him with Foreman. And so I think their defense is doing pretty well. I think that, they have their secondary is good. I think Brian Burns is a really good player off the edge. I just think that with the injuries to the Buccaneers offensive line, the fact that Brady retired and came back and doesn't really look like he cares about playing football that much. All the rest of the injuries that the Buccaneers have. And I mean, the Falcons are going to win the division because they're the Falcons. And the Saints just feel like trading away their best players to the Eagles every 5 days. So, hey. So I think that it's really a 2-team race between the Panthers and the Buccaneers. And if McCaffrey can stay healthy, I think that's the X factor. I think that he puts them over the top, and Baker does enough to be able to win that division.
There you
go.
No
love for the Saints?
What?
No love for the Saints?
No.
No.
I need the Saints to lose as much as possible so we can get that number 1 overall pick next year. So I'll be rooting for the Saints to lose every single game.
A little biased there.
I'm not saying I'm not biased.
I mean,
I'm not going to pick them.
I kind of like your take there with Carolina. If this is turned into a Carolina take, that's fine. I think that DJ Moore is also going to see an uptick in production, especially with Baker Mayfield. I think he jumps off that 4-touchdown cliff and maybe gets 6 or 8 touchdowns or so. So I think he's a factor as well. But getting back to the Saints too, I don't know. I'm kind of with you. I am on the fence with the Saints. I just don't know what we're going to see from them. How good is Jameis Winston going to be? We kind of know who he is, and he's good, but he's not great. They have a new coach. Questions with Alvin Kamara. Of course, even Kamara last year, as healthy, wasn't that great without a Drew Brees offense. So I don't know. I'm a little bit iffy. They lost. Was it their left tackle in free agency to the Dolphins? Right, Teron Armstead.
Yeah.
That's a big move there. I don't know. I'm not ready to say that the Saints are going to be the team that's next in the division, next to Tampa Bay. I don't know. I can see a scenario where they're at least doing something in a bad division, and therefore it's possible if one win happens versus another. But I don't know. I don't see them running away with anything.
I'm trying to think. I cannot imagine the Carolina Panthers winning the division this year. 1, I don't trust Matt Rule, and 2, I don't trust their depth. I think the depth is a huge issue for them. I mean, they've hit on some draft picks, but they haven't had enough draft picks. Like, it's pretty barren when you get to like 30 through 53 on a team. So if they get injuries early, I think it could be a big issue for them. But I do like their defense. They proved at the beginning of last year, at least, that this defense can be really elite. Obviously, I think that Baker can do some good things. I'm still not sure about that offensive line. They definitely have the playmaker. So I could see the case for them winning like 9 games, but I don't think that they can win the division. The Saints, I think the Saints' upside is much higher. Look, I don't love Winston, but I do like their playmakers a lot. The offensive line should still be okay, even though they lost their left tackle. And that defense could be one of the best units in football. So Dennis Allen, I don't know. He was terrible on the Raiders, but he's been under Sean Payton for a while. Maybe he picked up some things. I really don't know. As much as down as I am on the Buccaneers, I don't know if I can see anyone else winning that division. I hope so, because I have big bets on the Buccaneers unders. But yeah, I don't know if I can see anyone else winning the division.
Interesting take there. All right. I think we kind of got like 3 takes out of that one.
We did.
Who's up?
I think Jason,
you're up.
Wrap it up.
Roulette again. Hit me.
Roulette again. Okay.
Giants.
Chargers.
Ooh, okay. So let's start off with the Giants here. Kadarius Toney will be a top 20 wide receiver this year. I know that he's got some injury stuff going on, but I think that Dayball is going to be able to unlock everything that he has. I don't like Sterling Shepard. I don't think that Kenny Golladay is going to make it through the season there. Their tight end situation is trash. Saquon's injured all the time. I think that Toney could be an absolute monster this season, him and Wan'Dale Robinson, but I prefer Toney. I think he can line up inside, outside. So give me him as a top 20 wide receiver this season. Chargers, has anyone made the Joshua Palmer take? Because Joshua Palmer also – okay, here we go. I don't think that Mike Williams makes it through the season. I have him under 1,000.5 receiving yards. I think that Joshua Palmer comes in, takes over his entire target share, and ends up as a top 30 wide receiver in fantasy this season. I am all in on the Josh Palmer train. There's no reason not to like him, especially given the injury history between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and the fact that there's no 4th wide receiver there. I think that absolutely Joshua Palmer can come in and have a monster season.
That's an interesting take. Especially Mike Williams too, because he's had one fairly decent, good season, and the others
last year.
And the others were kind of he was hurt or he wasn't quite reaching his potential, should we say, and then until he finally got it last year, maybe he picks up where he left off, but there's a little bit of interest there with his injury history.
Can I do a cross sport comparison here?
Yeah.
I think that Mike Williams is the poor man's version of Anthony Davis, because every time he falls to the ground, he gets up and he acts like his ass is broken, his shoulder hurts. He walks to the sideline, and you never know if he's coming in or not. Sometimes he comes back in and he's completely fine. Other times he's out for the game and out for a couple of weeks. Can never trust what Mike Williams is going to do on the field. When he's there, he's absolutely elite, but can't trust him.
Yep. No, you're right. Yeah, he's the kind of guy where you're going to see on Thursday he's questionable. He didn't practice Wednesday or Tuesday. What's going to happen? And then maybe he
8 catches, 137 and 2. And then he's healthy all week, and then he plays 5 snaps and he's out for the entire fucking game.
That's about right.
There you go. That does sound about right. Interesting. When he's hot, I mean, when he's on, he's obviously on, but he's got to be on the field to play and of course produce points.
Absolutely. All right, I think that'll do it for this episode of Hot Takes and Pancakes. We have some nuclear takes. Everyone seemed to really enjoy the fact that I said Carolina was going to win the division.
I loved it.
Hope that made Jeff happy as a Carolina Panthers fan.
Woohoo! Hey, I got my Carolina, the Tar Heel hat on right
there
now.
We go. Yeah, we debuted Take Roulette with Jason, so that's always good. I really like that idea. Spur of the moment. That's a good one. We'll probably bring that back in the future episodes. So
we need like a Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel?
You know what? I love that idea.
All right, do that next time.
Next time we'll just throw a wheel and then we'll just talk about whatever team lands.
And a position or something. A team and a position have like 2 wheels going there.
Talk about the Browns punter situation. Go.
Yeah, we'll have to tweak that a little bit. Funny.
So Jason, you want to let everyone know what's on the docket for Champions Round?
Yep. So we have Daily Dozen every day. Starting tomorrow we're going to have college football. Saturday we'll have college football. Next week, obviously Thursday, NFL. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We have some great giveaways coming for our 7 stakes contest for NFL Week 1, which should be up on the app today. Stay tuned for that. It may have something to do with the Rams and Bills game. We're also going to have a social giveaway, which also may have to do with the Rams and Bills game. If anyone followed us last year, we are the kings of the giveaways. We are going to have so many sick things to give away this season. So I got Daily Dozen, I got 7 stakes, and also we have Sunday's Best, which should be on the app in the next couple of days, which is our new fantasy game mode. It's a 1-week contest, paid or free, and all you have to do in snake format is draft 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, and 1 tight end every week. Call it Sunday's Best. Hopefully you guys enjoy that little game mode that we have coming for you.
It'll be fun.
And I think that's all I got right now.
Yeah, that's it. I think drafts are winding down, but still check out my fantasy guide if you have some last minute home league drafts to do. And I think that would be it for today. So we'll be back.
Last minute home league drafts. I still have 7 more. My first one was yesterday. My leagues stink.
Well, you're in like 60,000 leagues.
No, I'm only in 14 this year.
Only 14. I remember looking back when in like 2009 when I had like 4 leagues and thought that was a lot. If only that guy knew what a degenerate I'd become when it comes to fantasy leagues. And my 20 plus leagues now. So
wow.
I just joined a league with Jeff actually.
That's right. We are. In fact, we're drafting now. If someone would draft,
I'm probably on the clock. I'm 4th, so I got to end this broadcast and go draft.
All right.
We'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
See ya.